What up, what up? This should be the last installment of this little book reading. Hopefully, it helps you. It helps, gives you something to pray about so the Lord can instruct you, because we all need instruction right now in what to read and what to do, because we must be led by the Spirit of God, that Spirit that dwells within us when we repent and when we have fasted and prayed and when we are a new creature in Jesus Christ. It doesn't happen naturally. So let's get to these last two installments of the Gods of CERN Awaken. I hope that it has urged you to read and study to show yourself approved unto God. So let's get into it. This section is called Beam Me Up, Scotty. Beam me up, Scotty. All right, let's get it. Let's return to the notion of portals to elaborate a bit more on what it entails. Often the question or statement arises regarding assessing other dimensions or other worlds by spiritual means. Ancient peoples purportedly created portals. This seems to be what the Bible was saying. Therefore, if we believe the Bible and our interpretation is correct, it says we know it was done before. Yet we must ask, why again? Why now? It says, why would humanity require the most powerful device ever built be devoted to this task? It says, what could justify the cost and the efforts of some of the best minds from 100 nations for the past 70 years? It must be very important to all humanity. In all this time, humanity must attempt to keep any god or demigod from getting in the way. So then, says what must be done this time around? Says what has to be different? Efforts must yield an opening different in kind and duration. This time, as was envisioned by the builders of the Tower of Babel, a stable opening must be manufactured that reaches into the heavens, far into the heavens, and isn't so easily knocked down. To clarify, while we continue to talk in terms of quantum scale, the portal must be more robust than what has been achieved to date in Geneva. The spiritual power to open the portal, the power apparently mustered by Nimrod, was destroyed. Perhaps working with technology shown to him by fallen angels in the most evil transfer of technology. And it was destroyed along with the confusing of humanity's tongues, the multiplication of languages making global collaboration much more difficult. Humanity sought to make a name for itself, it says, which may have been what Nimrod was seeking. And they said, go to, and let us build a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make a name. It says, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. Genesis 11:4. Back in the day, about 4,000 years ago, give or take a century, it was likely all about incantations, attempting to produce specific frequencies of vibratory sounds. Or perhaps it says the ritual sacrifice of thousands of humans. Or possibly the issue was combining efforts, all humankind achieving a concentration of consciousness, as the New Agers might say, that is, being focused together as one, known in the occult as the egregor, says, which just happens to literally mean watchers. It says, whatever the method, it was to be employed in opening a window into the forbidden realm. It says, we have good reason to suspect that they sought after once more the ability to become gods. It says the memory of the Nephilim and the whisper of more fallen angels likely made humanity jealous for powers that could keep them from being dispersed and kept at bay. To make a name for themselves, says, may have meant just that, being like the angels and the Nephilim. Hey, everyone, let's be like the Watchers. It says, whatever we put our mind to, says we can get it done. Fast forward 4 millennia. The vast numbers of coincidences, symbols, and pattern of occult rituals suggest to me that CERN scientists seek to hold open the hatch long enough for vast quantities of entities or the encoding of their beings to pass through into our realm and to be rematerialized on the other side of the transmission. In the next volume of our study, we will dig into this detail more. But do make note. This is where the digitizing of DNA gets factored into this process. What I am talking about is the transporting of information about these entities at their present location through the portal and into our planet, specifically into the abyss. It says, which the Bible says exists. It says within the earth. It very well may be the objective of this secret sect we've mentioned before. The Brotherhood of Satan says that these entities, like Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock from Star Trek, will manifest through the portal. Admittingly, I am conjecturing something that others have not, but I am connecting some rather large dots, points already proven in the previous paragraphs. I believe that the highest level minders of CERN, whoever they are, lurk deep in the darkest corridor there, or somewhere nearby in Europe, and they hold preternatural beliefs that would astound the average person. They hold, and this seems outrageous, that beings exist on planet Saturn. It says the better sun of the golden age. And they are being invited to return to our planet. It says which these modern day sun worshippers believe was their planet before it was ours. And but wait, I'm getting ahead of the story. To be sure, it says the portal itself will be of a quantum scale, smaller than any atom. However, it says one must bear in mind, digital signals do not require great size to function. Bandwidth is not correlated to broadwidth. Says the duration, coupled with the speed of transmission, is what matters. And what might be the subject of transmission is open to debate. Says, but here is one such oddity. Says that about which readers might wish to learn, linking Saturn to UFOs and the possibility that some life form has made its presence known on the ring planet. It says, beginning with the book published in 1986 by Norman Berggren called The Ringmakers of Saturn, The Fringe sought to explain observations by astronomers of bright lights on the edges of the rings from the past 2 centuries. Over the past 40 years, scientists began studying paradoxal photographs taken by the Voyager 1 and 2 that showed there appeared to be saucer-shaped spacecrafts of some sort that were circumnavigating amongst Satan's rings. Berggren proposes that there are electromagnetic vehicles, EMVs, creating the rings of Saturn. Others in the crossover region, between ufology and the occult, speculate that intelligent life controls and cultivates the requisite substances for life on Saturn and, interestingly, around our sun. It says, while we don't have more space here to elaborate on the many assertions of those in the so-called woo-hoo world creating YouTube videos on the subject, says we can point out that It seems far more than coincidence than filmmaker Stanley Kubrick, obsessed with occult topics and encoding information about the secrets of the elites in almost all of his films, implants a Saturnalia, a mystery, in his film 2001: A Space Odyssey. Some say that he feared his disclosure about the elite and their plans for humanity might get him killed. Says why? For instance, did Hollywood make Kubrick change the target planet for the spacecraft operated by the HAL 9000 computer from Saturn to Jupiter? Author C. Clarke's novel 2001 and Satan's Moon Iapetus as the objective for the mission, Saturn being far more laden with mythology than Jupiter. And what might be the real meaning behind the black monolith? Says the linkage to the black cube of Saturn. Says many sources attest to the fact that the black cube has been being a symbol of Saturn down through the ages. And once you begin to see the black cube linked to religions around the world, you begin to wonder if lying behind all the veneration of the black cube is the cult of Saturn and the secret society that celebrates Saturnalia. Says the material of this occult topic is legend. Here, I would just say the plot thickens, and we will no doubt delve into this matter more in our next volume. I promise to mention a few more points as we go along here, hopefully without getting us too sidetracked. It says we should not get hung up on whether such entities that might be the target of particle beams from CERN are spiritual or physical. Nor should we attempt to fathom the mathematics involved or the processes in any depth of what may be the goal of connecting CERN to Saturn. Furthermore, says we do not need to stipulate that its technology will in fact work as advertised. Says we should recognize, however, that the geniuses I conjecture are attempting this manifesting miracle seem earnest to make it so. It is their passion. It is their religion. It is their raison d'etre. I think that's it. Wave-particle duality provides an analogy here. Every elementary particle, says the physical, may be partly described in terms not only of particles, but also of waves. Quantum scale objects cannot be fully expressed using classical model concepts of our universe. As Einstein wrote, it seems as though we must use sometimes the one theory and sometimes the other, while at times we may use either. Says we are faced with a new kind of difficulty. We have two contradictory pictures of reality. Separately, neither of them fully explains the phenomena of light, but together they do. Two pictures of reality that contradict, and yet they are both proven to be true. Illogical perhaps, but true. Even scientists must embrace, it says, what theologians call antinomy. So antinomy, if you didn't know, because I didn't, that's why I'm going to read this. Antinomy is the apparent mutual contradiction of two laws that are both true. Free will and predestination comprise a theological antinomy. Okay. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Patch. Back to the reading. The power of quaternary computing by the adiabatic processor possesses the means to accomplish that traditional processors cannot. What traditional processors cannot. Mathematical riddles that take our most powerful classic computer 30 minutes to solve can be unraveled in less than 3 seconds. In fact, says the proper order of magnitude would be more like 0.00003 seconds. In certain combinatorial computations, the adiabatic quantum computer has proven its processing power may be 10 million times faster than a binary processor. That's very fast. All right. Next heading. from the rings of CERN to the rings of Saturn. Says, recall from earlier the formation by the main ring of the LHC of a donut-shaped toroidal field. This mimics those surrounding Earth, providing us shielding from gamma rays, X-rays, and accelerated particles streaming in from the sun and cosmos at large. Earth's magnetosphere and magnetopoles provide this shield. As well, says we must not forget the Awake, Advanced Wake Field Experiment, linear particle accelerator housed within CERN. It will produce a straight line stream of accelerated heavy ions of lead at a level 1,000 times the power to date achieved by the LHC alone. Says this powerful stream will pass through a torsion field formed by the toroidal field of the LHC. Just as the speed of light, contra-rotating particle beams are squeezed down by the focusing actions of magnetic collimators housed within the 3-story tall detectors. Likewise, the linear beam produced by the Awake device will be aimed by the niobium titanium superconducting magnets of the LHC. It says magnetic lines of force at 8.36 Tesla, or 100,000 times that of Earth's magnetic field, form up torsion fields through which a linear stream of accelerated particles approaching the speed of light will be aimed at a specific target in the outer reaches of the solar system. So focused is this beam that it will be dialed in to strike a locale of the subatomic quantum scale millions of miles from Earth, far beyond our magnetosphere, which in fact must be reduced in strength to allow the beam to pass through. Shields down, Mr. Sulu. Awake's a linear stream of accelerated particles combined with the power of the LHC will be aimed with extreme accuracy. A gap between quantum particles will be created. How long can the priesthood of scientists maintain such an opening? Question mark. There is where the adiabatic computer achieves its awesome potential, already operating at the quantum level in space as well as a quantum scale of time. The portal will be open for what a human would swear is but a few moments. While a sensitive detector would regard as a constant, never-ending eon, lasting a lifetime in quantum terms. Says the beam emitted through the ring of CERN, accompanied by the Wake linear accelerator, will draw a bead on Saturn, pass its rings to a specific point on a planet far, far away. Now, here is where I go full speculation mode. This is a possible scenario, and the reader should not take my speculation as fact, for at this time I don't have the evidence to do more than connect the dots with faint dashed lines instead of heavy coarse lines, and consider this scenario as archetypal of the kind of thing that the masters of the machine might be trying to do. Here goes. Humanity's most expensive machine, perhaps its greatest mechanical accomplishment, says will target the southern pole of Saturn. Says by connecting to and opening a quantum gap at this very specific point in our solar system, it gains access. And remember, I'm speaking hypothetically, to a very particular container awaiting a wake-up call on the colossal planet. Says like a key slid gently into lock, the beam from CERN will connect with a magnetic black cube. Perhaps magical would be the better word here. Says within which a worshiping cult claims are imprisoned the titans of old, the masters of the universe, like Zod and his fiendish accomplices who were banished from Krypton and sent into the Phantom Zone, entrapped into a marvelous container to be held for tens of thousands of years recalling the mythology of Superman. The practitioners and worshippers of the Black Sun, members of one of the most secret of secret societies, will then exult in accomplishing what has seemed for ages to be beyond humanity's grasp. They believe this solemn black cube on the golden sun of Saturn imprisons those whose powers will provide humanity immortality, the power to make them gods. The black cube is not just a symbol of Saturn or its orbit, as Kepler projected. There is a black cube within the planet of Saturn. At the northern pole of Saturn is located what many observers would consider to be a naturally occurring formation of contra-rotating clouds of energy and particles undergoing acceleration. The origin of this six-sided formation is debated. This author contends it to be purposeful in both its design and presentation. It appears as a larger than Earth version of a large hadron collider. In fact, the LHC functions in mimicry of it. Like the LHC, the northern pole of Saturn is generating cyclotron-like energies of gamma and X-rays. Additionally, it shows electromagnetic lines of force. These energies may extend all the way to the planet's core, to where, in my vision, lies the magnetic black cube. Extending beyond and wrapped around the planet, these lines of rotating forces terminate at the southern pole, manifesting as a spiral, not unlike that which was observed in the night sky on December 9th, 2009 over Norway. Looking back in light of this plan, says we might wonder, was that spiral a sign in the heavens, a portent of this future event? Question mark. Is where the prodigious priest aimed that 27-kilometer long weapon in hopes to spring open the black cube, freeing those with whom they've been communing on the other side and beyond the orbit of Jupiter. For they believe by doing so, their ancestors from the stars and their benevolent entities will return along pathways of electrical Birkeland currents to Earth. Like E.T. phoning home, the beam will serve as more than a homing beacon. It will provide the means by which the aliens will return. Says the linear accelerator, Awake, when combined with the torsion field of the LHC, will produce the characteristic twisted helical double strands of charged particles observed by the Hubble Space Telescope, connecting concentrations of electrically charged plasma throughout the cosmos. Recall our earlier discussion. Continuing with the conjecture, says Birkeland current service to transmit the digitized DNA of demonic titans of old directly to and then below Earth's surface. Shockingly, the entry point is at CERN, where perhaps the shaft to the abyss, as described in the Bible, resides. Therefore, it appears this was the purpose that the LHC was located on the ancient site of the Roman temple to their god Apollyon, Abaddon, the king of the abyss, as also known as the Scorpion King. Revelations 9:11 says, and they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. It says the name means destroyer. Revelations 9:1 says, and the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key to the bottomless pit. It is another non-coincidence that Birkeland currents form helical strands, as does DNA. In combination with the Awake particle accelerator, the LHC would then become the key to the abyss, unlocking its shaft, perhaps by transmitting the DNA of demons through its encoded and decoding by the adiabatic computer. These prisoners from eons long since past still awake. This sequence of information will be teleported to beneath their ancient temple to the abyss atop where CERN sits. It sounds like an H.P. Lovecraft novella, or novella, maybe. Says, but the end goal of the elites might look a lot like this scenario. Consider how remarkable. Says the advances in humans science have coalesced into this. Says the secret societies down through the ages have succeeded in delivering to our highly technological age and to some of its greatest minds the mind-boggling know-how to attempt a cosmic jailbreak. Genesis chapter 6, verse 5 through 6. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. Conclusion. Obviously, this secret cult scenario brings the question, if this truly comprises the great plan behind CERN, can anything be done to expose it? Question mark. Can the scheme of the priests be thwarted? Question mark. What can we do? Perhaps it is too far late to rescue the world from the greatest conspiracy in our cosmos. Says the challenge for us, the scheme is so far-fetched that few will believe it. Hollywood couldn't make this up. It says, but they have tried. Just as the massive scale of the Holocaust foisted the Nazis on the Jews and other victims made it nearly impossible to believe, so the colossal, indeed cosmic aspect of this plan would be met by almost all with incredulity. Says, but realize this, just because it is unbelievable, that doesn't mean it or something like it isn't still true. Certainly, we know there are those who do believe in occult power, like the Brotherhood of Satan, will seek to make it manifest in the real world. Nevertheless, it is my hope that to the extent, says, we can have some effect, and we must attempt to cast light upon humanity's dark conspiracies, fully aware that men love darkness instead of light. And this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men love darkness rather than light because their deeds were evil. John 3:19. The author finds solace in the following. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 10 through 18. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. It says, wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day. And having done all to stand, stand therefore having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, and wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, and take the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints. So what has been presented here will ultimately work out according to God's plan, especially how the mythos of Satan ties and remains to be seen. But soon, Satan and his minions will be cast into the lake of fire. And the devil, and that deceived them, was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books, according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and the dead in hell delivered up the dead which were in them. And they were judged, every man according to their works. And the death and hell, says, were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. Revelations chapter 20, verse 10 through 15. Man, the gods of CERN awaken, man. It's a very interesting passage, interesting book. I remembered that I had this book. So definitely have to share it with the body. Because it's a lot of perpetrating people who think they know things. And believe me, I'm not saying I know everything. I'm just shedding a little light. But what I am saying is, it's a lot of people who perpetrate they know things just because they're seeing things on the television. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we might have an eclipse for sure. But as above, so below. So that torsion toroidal field, oh, baby, that could definitely bring something down. Or something down can go up, or vice versa. If you remember the Avengers movie, the first Avengers movie, when they were on top of Stark Tower, and that little contraption and machine, that same thing that brought Loki here, what did it do? What did it do? Opened up a portal, didn't it? Endgame. Soon as Stark hit the gauntlet, what did it do? Opened up a portal. Things to think about. Time to really stop being entertained. Time to stop being entertained, because our entertainment is detain the mind. So, I leave you Watchman Chronicles Part 6, the reading of God, of the gods of CERN Awaken. I leave you with Romans chapter 13, 11 through 14. And do this, knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep. For now our salvation is nearer than when we first believed. Says the night is far spent, the day is at hand. Therefore, says, let us cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light. And let us walk properly as in the day, not in revelry and drunkenness, not in lewdness and lust, not in strife and envy, but put on the Lord Jesus Christ, and make no provision for the flesh to fulfill its lust. Let's get it, man.